Hello Swamp Fox, and welcome to the August 2025 edition of Fox Chatter. On this episode, we'll go over some events for August drill, and we'll hear from Captain Trey Murphy. He's going to give us an update on the Ready Airman Training program. Master Sgt. Shari Watson from the medical group is going to give us some insight on their trip to the Republic of Colombia, where we participated in Relampago de los Andes. Master Sgt. Jory Middleton from 3rd Go is going to give us an update on an upcoming event this drill. And Chief Bowen will give you a quick update from the Wing Command Chief. Today I want to start by recognizing our resiliency team here at McEntire. They are always available to assist our airmen in a time of need, which recently has happened more routinely than we would like. On May 31st, we lost Tech Sergeant Rhiannon O'Leary to a battle with cancer. Tech Sergeant O'Leary served 16 years with us over at Munitions, and she also was a tireless volunteer around the base and in the local community. And then on 29 July, we lost Mr. Henry Samuel. Henry retired in 2024 after 23 years of service as a guardsman, and then he transitioned to a Title V employee, working in the Fighter Wing Commander support staff. Henry and Rhiannon will be sorely missed. Our chaplains, Director of Psychological Health, Military Family Life Counselor, and the rest of our resiliency team have each stepped up to ensure everyone has the support resources they need. These are sad times, but we also gain strength from going through these tough situations and realizing that we have a team of Swamp Fox that are always standing by your side. Thank you to all of the organizations that have also stepped up to help, including the 5-6 Council, the Chiefs Council, the 06 Council, and the 3rd Go. This is a tough situation for everyone, and if you have the need to reach out or you need additional help, look at the resiliency team and then also look to your supervisors and commanders. All right, Swamp Fox, this upcoming drill for August will be the 9th and the 10th. The overall focus for this drill is Ready Airman Training, which Captain Trey Murphy will give you more information on that here shortly. Also, individual medical readiness. So we've hit this multiple times that we need individuals to take responsibility for getting all their medical requirements accomplished. But this drill, the medical group is also going to have additional resources and appointments available to help you accommodate those needs. This drill is also going to be very busy with a lot of changes of command. So the Force Support Squadron, Lieutenant Colonel Tom Bryant, is going to give the squadron over to Lieutenant Colonel Rachel Phillips. They are effectively going to be swapping jobs. So Lieutenant Colonel Bryant will be moving downtown to the Joint Force Headquarters and start serving as the MPMO, or the Military Personnel Management Officer. Over in the Security Forces Squadron, Lieutenant Colonel Torrance Barbour will be handing command over to Lieutenant Colonel Jonathan Thompson. So Colonel Thompson's going to be moving over from Finance to take over Security Forces, and Torrance will be moving over to the Logistic Readiness Squadron. Lieutenant Colonel Ken Hartman, the current Logistic Readiness Squadron commander, will be moving over to the Wing A staff and serving as the A4. And the final piece of this drill will be preparation for our September drill. September drill is going to be a super drill from 4 to 7 September. We'll provide more details on that next month, but what you can expect are small-scale wing events that are going to tie a lot of training across the squadrons together to accomplish some wing-level goals. And then it'll mostly be smaller squadron-specific training. It won't be a large exercise like we've did 6 months ago, but it's going to be more focused on individual tasks and knocking out specific training objectives. All right, so first up, we're going to talk about Relampago de los Andes. Relampago de los Andes is a multinational joint event with our partners in the Colombian Air Force from the Republic of Colombia. They've been our state partners for roughly 15 years, which has given us an opportunity to develop relationships and to pass knowledge about how we exercise and how we do tasks in the United States. And then they tell us how they operate in the Colombian Air Force. And through that exchange, we're able to help make each of us a stronger organization. Specifically for the Colombians, they are one of our primary partners in the South American area of operations. So the South American area of operations is coordinated and controlled by AFSouth, or the Air Force side of Southern Command. Relampago de los Andes is a Southcom exercise and not necessarily a state partnership program exercise. But since we already have the partnership with Colombia, it makes sense for us to go down and provide the airplanes and the resources to represent the American forces at the exercise. For our participation in this year's Relampago de los Andes, we sent 4 airplanes and approximately 140 personnel from across ops, maintenance, logistics, security forces, and also medical. So the overall objective of Relampago de los Andes is to bring multiple nations into Colombia and focus on the interoperability of each of those air forces. And through that interoperability, they're able to strengthen the overall defensive posture of American interests in the region. So the days are going to be broken into 2 goes, and in the morning go, it's basically focused on defensive counter-air operations. So 2 of our aircraft will be flying with 2 of the Colombian aircraft as Blue Forces, and we'll be defending the base from any type of aerial aggressor who tries to attack the base. Those attacks are going to come from us simulating bad forces, and we're also going to be partnering with the COLAF as we do that as well. So in each of those situations, we're flying side by side by our Colombian partners, and we're learning how they operate, and they're learning how we operate so that we can exchange ideas and hopefully make each other better at our flying operations. In the afternoon, we switch gears a little bit, and it becomes more of a us versus them situation. So then we're doing dogfighting or basic fighter maneuvers. That's 1v1 fights with our F-16s fighting their Kafirs. Those are designed for each of the individual pilots to see how our individual aircraft operate against each other and what the strengths and weaknesses of those are. And it also helps the pilots learn how to hone their skills in just fighting an adversary aircraft. Some days we'll also bring 2 aircraft to those fights, and it'll be a 2v2, which we call air combat maneuvering, where we have to work together as a team to defeat another enemy, but we're doing that within a visual range arena. So it ends up becoming dogfighting with multiple aircraft. The afternoon, we're also going to be flying our D model, and we're giving them some familiarization flights in the back seat of the F-16 to show them how great of an airplane that we have, and just give them an insight into how we do our operations. So while we're taking the 4 aircraft all the way down to Colombia to participate in this exercise, the exercise is a lot more than just flying airplanes. There's a lot that goes into moving aircraft from the United States to South America. So we needed tanker support to take us down there. We also needed C-17s to pick up all of our equipment and to move it down. All that equipment had to be packed, weighed, and planned by our logistics team to ensure that it safely gets there without damaging the equipment, the airplanes, or the people who are flying on those airplanes. We also needed to take a mobile arresting system. So that's basically a wire like you would see on an aircraft carrier that is permanently affixed to the ground on the runways that we operate off of. And that is designed to stop us in the event that we have some type of emergency, such as a brake failure, where we're unable to stop. We can put down a hook just like an airplane would on an aircraft carrier, and it will stop us before we can run off the end of the runway. So that's only used in emergency situations, and God willing, we'll never have to utilize that. There's also a lot of work that goes into the security aspect of this. So taking American equipment to a foreign nation, while they are safe and secure, it still requires an American presence. So we had to send a security forces team down to guard our jets 24/7. Additionally, we also have all of our maintainers who are down there working the flight line. So difficulties there are you don't have all of your parts and all of your tools that you would readily have if you were working at home. So that's required the logistics team to jump into their systems, figure out where they can source us a part from. So they're doing a great job. We're also operating out of Palenquero. So if you've ever been to Colombia and Bogota, that's up in the mountains, 8,500 feet. It's a nice 70 degrees. If you fly down to Palenquero, it's down closer to sea level. It's along a river, and it's more of a jungle environment. So it is extremely hot and humid, and it's some pretty tough environment to work out of. Our maintainers are on the flight line. They don't have any sunshades, so they're down there beating the heat and getting the jets going and keeping them flying. So they're doing a great job making that happen. Additional teams that we have down there are our PA, spreading the message of how well all of our folks are doing and making sure that we get that word out. This year's exercise is also bigger and has more participants than it ever has before. So in addition to the events that I have already mentioned occurring at Palancaro, there are events happening all around the country with a separate set of objectives, and that is combat search and rescue. And they're doing their own individual training, which would simulate rescuing downed aircrew and also exfilling injured military personnel who may have been injured in a fight. They may need to be evacuated to a location that can provide more advanced medical services. So with the combat search and rescue piece also comes the medical aspect that ties in our own medical group. So we also deployed a contingent of personnel from our medical group who went down to Colombia and provided some medical services. So we'll welcome Master Sgt. Shari Watson, who's going to give us a little bit more insight into their participation. So Shari, welcome to the podcast. Tell us a little bit about what the medical group did while they were down in Colombia.
Yeah. So the medical group was it was layered. So we had one group that was responsible for real world responses for anything that happened within the exercise. Then we had a group for TCCC, which our Army folks came in and helped us out with that. CBURN was attached to us, and then we had our humanitarian effort, which was out in the community, which was like a 2-hour hike away from the Palancaro Air Base that we were all at. So a multifaceted approach that we took when going into this exercise.
Yeah, so going into it, what did y'all expect was going to take place?
So originally, honestly, I thought we were going in to kind of like save a nation in a way. So I thought we were going to be providing some resources and expertise as to how we conduct medicine on our side of the world, like on the Air Force side of the world. And then when we got there, we realized it was more of like a collaboration. So listening to some of the disease processes that they have more common, and then listening to some of the, in comparison to what we have going on here, it was just a vast difference. And I'm sure it has to do with, their diet and how they move around versus how we drive everywhere, they walk everywhere. The expectations didn't land the way I expected them to when we got there. So the outcomes were different. Great, honestly, for the collaboration piece. Some challenges with the humanitarian part.
Yeah, so what are some of their health challenges that they have that are different than ours?
So here in the U.S., like we have a lot of issues when it comes to like cardiovascular health, cholesterol, diabetes, things like that. But over there, they have more issues when it comes to like musculoskeletal issues, only because a lot of them ride around on mopeds and stuff. So like there are more like injuries with vehicles and things like that. And then skin rashes. The last thing was respiratory issues. And so I thought that was pretty interesting that cardiovascular and cholesterol wasn't an issue because their diet is really carb heavy. So I thought that was pretty interesting. But everything is like off the land, and it was really neat. Everything tastes so different from there to here, the sugars and all.
Yeah, so it was different than what you expected, but you still took something away from it that was a benefit for our medical personnel. So what were some of those?
Some of the lifestyle changes I think we could take into consideration when it comes to what the Colombians do and then what we do. Their first line of effort is not necessarily medication. Theirs is to start with the lifestyle adjustment first before jumping into a medication, only because they don't have the amount of resources that we have. So they try to use medication as like a last ditch effort, or for like those people who have those terrain challenges who can't really get to a medical facility as quickly as someone with the vehicle. But the collaboration piece and the development piece from the sergeant that we followed from the COLAF, he was amazing. Our translator, our medical linguist, she was able to tell us a lot of the things that he was working on as far as developing their people and getting them more up to speed on how to treat and anticipate their needs before they actually have an issue.
So how do you think they received having us come in and partner with them?
I think it was received really well. We were able to donate some of the medications that we took down with us. Overall, I would say I think it was a really good experience as far as lessons learned and how we can prepare better, some of the younger enlisted as well as the senior enlisted as well.
It's also nice for you guys to deploy out and actually do what you're your true job is. So a lot of people don't realize the clinic here is not a military treatment facility. Your guys' job is to make sure that we are caught up and prepared to deploy, but then you also deploy, and that's where you get a chance to actually provide treatments and do that type of stuff. So great experience for you guys to get out there and do the job. All right, well, thanks a lot for stopping by and telling us about the medical aspects of Relampago.
Thank you.
All right, next we're going to dive into the Chief's Corner. Chief Bowen, thanks for hosting last month's podcast. I really appreciate the break. Great job with that. But now you get to just do the smaller section. So congratulations on that. What do you got for us for this month?
Well, first and foremost, thank you for allowing me to take over your podcast last month. It was exciting. I got some good feedback through text and emails and in person. So again, thank you for that time. This coming month, it's an exciting month. Obviously, IMR is a big event, trying to get people medically ready for down the road. And additionally, we have our SPP partners coming to us. The Colombian Senior NCO Academy will be visiting us on August 13th. So what's that mean for us? Well, it's a chance for us to interact with our state partners, show them how great McEntire is. We have a 4-hour window to spend time with them. They're going to be able to see a weapons load from our weapons team. And our chaos unit is actually getting involved in this one. They're bringing some of their, and I'm air quoting, toys over to show the Colombians what we do. But the intent is for them to see NCOs making NCO decisions at their level. And again, it's a great opportunity for us to showcase our skills and our decision-making abilities. In addition, on Sunday afternoon, the last hour of the duty day, I'm going to have a 5-6 all call. So in June, I did an airman's all call, and it went fantastic. It's just another way for me to get out in front of our NCOs to just happen to have a open dialogue conversation with them. So that's what's coming up for us.
All right, that's perfect. And we've talked a lot about some of these things and empowering our NCOs to actually be leaders and not just low-level managers, actually provide true leadership. And that's where you're starting to build it before you become a senior NCO. This is a good chance for us to highlight that and, like you said, show the Colombians how they can improve theirs as well.
Oh, absolutely. And I told you on my very first podcast with you is that you have a phenomenal core of NCOs. That's not by happen chance. They were mentored, led to be able to make decisions instead of the machine stopping for someone else to make that decision. And that's what we're trying to, no, I'm going to say try. We will show that to the Colombian Senior NCO Academy on the 13th, that NCOs make decisions at NCO level.
Perfect. Well, Chief, appreciate it and looking forward to it.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, next up, we're going to talk about our wing readiness program as we've transitioned to a deployable combat wing. So we have Captain Trey Murphy, who is our wing readiness officer, and he's in charge of ensuring that we get everybody in the wing ready to deploy. Trey, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate you giving me this time this morning. As Colonel Bowes mentioned, I'm Captain Trey Murphy out of the Logistics Readiness Squadron, and part of our transition into the DCW and AFRIGEN phases of deploying has our training program changing a bit as well. All of the deployment training is now called Ready Airman Training, or RAT for a terrible acronym. The program is run by the Installation Deployment Officer, but is implemented by your commanders and your UDMs.
Trey, how is RAT training different from TFAT?
Ready Airman Training is different from your Total Force Annual Training, your TFAT. TFAT trainings are normally your annual requirements. Think things like cyber awareness, OPSEC, and SAPR. Ready Airman Training is a little more comprehensive and long-term focused and is intended to be accomplished over a 4-year AFRIGEN cycle. Given that we're in the middle of our cycle, however, our timelines are a little compressed. Because of this compression, that drives us to hold exercise focus drills like we did in March and training focus drills like we held in September. The benefit of this is that will help us knock out multiple training events all at once. RAT kind of seems like a big elephant in the room to try and take out, but having these focus drills helps us take one big bite out of the elephant at a time.
So Trey, how do we accomplish these RAT events?
Sir, as we mentioned, RAT is kind of a big elephant that we need to take small bites out of from time to time. RAT is comprised of 12 courses, each of which have a number of events to complete. Unlike TFAT, most of RAT events is not just a one and done CBT. So if you've done one training event, that doesn't mean you're done with that one RAT requirement. We are able to knock out RAT via CBTs, briefings, and exercises, and your commanders and UDMs have a plan for how they're going to implement that in their individual units. Those squadron level plans are made in conjunction with wing level training events like the March exercise and what we have coming up in September. The good news is a single exercise can accomplish multiple events. For instance, March's exercise, a part team gets training for sea burning, basic communication, and explosive ordnance hazards simply by wearing their MOP gear and reporting a UXO over the radio. But don't get down into the weeds for the individual airmen. That's for your UDMs to figure out.
All right, so UDMs are covering the RAT training aspects for the Ready Airman Training, and then your unit training managers should be covering the TFAT.
Yes, sir. Your UDMs will work with your UTMs to deconflict any TFAT requirements and RAT requirements throughout the year.
Okay. For this upcoming drill, what do the individual airmen need to do to help prepare for these upcoming training events?
Sir, all we're asking of our individual airmen is to get into the Air Force portal, and they will have a step-by-step guide on how to click and where to click in their email. But simply get into My Learning, which is the system of record, and make sure that they have an account created, as well as go into each of the 12 Ready Airman training courses. And again, this step-by-step guide waiting for you in your email. And simply enroll in those courses. That's it. You don't have to worry about anything else. Just simply enroll in it. This will take 10 to 12 minutes of an airman's time, and some shops are already way ahead than others, and you probably got some folks that can help you do all of the clicks very quickly without you having to learn on the fly.
All right, so doing CBTs is never exciting to anyone, but unfortunately, that is the way the Air Force tracks all of these requirements. And for us to show that we're actually ready to deploy and that we've met our AFRIGEN cycle requirements before we do our next tasking, that's unfortunately the way that it's going to be accounted for. So it's just something we're going to have to do. Thanks for trying to make it a little bit simpler and easy, and hopefully we can all march towards being certified as ready.
Yes, sir. And I know it's a little bit of a pain, but a little bit of work now will do a lot for us in the next few months.
All right. Thanks, Trey. Appreciate your time.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, next we got Master Sgt. Jory Middleton from the 3rd Go, who's going to talk to us about an upcoming event they have this drill.
Thanks for having me on here again. 3rd Go will be hosting a cornhole tournament this Saturday, August 9th. Start time is 1600. First place will be $500. We'll also be doing raffles same day, also featuring the 5-6 who will be cooking for the event. The event will be hosted in the parking lot in front of the canteen, and all the proceeds that we raise will benefit airmen across the base. Teams of 2 are required, $60 buy-in. Anyone can sign up, preferably sign up in advance, but you can sign up same day. And I hope to see a bunch of you there.
Jory, thanks for coming by and letting us know about this event. We really appreciate everything the 3rd Go does for all of the airmen across the base. As we close out this month's podcast, we need some help from you. We need input into what you want to hear about. A lot of effort goes into putting this together, and we want to make sure that you're hearing what you want to hear and not what we think you want to hear. Reach out to us through Public Affairs or send me an email directly. That's going to wrap up today's edition of Fox Chatter. Thank you again to our Swamp Fox family for excelling at all that you do. Your efforts are recognized across our Air Force, as well as around the world, thanks to your participation in meaningful events such as Relampago de los Andes. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you at drill.